Well, good evening, fucking tractor pool fans. It's another wonderful day in the neighborhood, eh? Anyway, we got Kendra with us as we do every week. Kendra, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Um, okay, I made it. So,
Yeah.
uh, I tell you, man, we got one heck of a good guest with us here tonight. And we're gonna talk some old four-wheel drive truck pulling, and I'm sure he's got some old buddies that's gonna be hopefully coming on here in the chat and asking some questions and stuff, but we got plenty to ask him. So, but Temple Brizendine, that's a name that I know anybody that has anything to do with truck and tractor pulling from 1900 up to, no, I'm just kidding. For many, many years. I mean, I know he started at a young age, and we'll let him talk here shortly. But we have a couple things to go over. Temple, how are you tonight, buddy?
All right, and you? How are you?
Uh, like I say, the world's still turning, so I guess we're doing okay. But we
Okay.
really appreciate you coming on here. I just was a last minute deal to try to get somebody on here tonight. I just said, well, I'll try Temple. I figured I'd get to know, but you said, okay. I was like, wow, that was easy.
There's not much going on this time of year. You picked a good time of year to do it. So,
There you go. There you go. But Temple Brizendine, of course, is him and his father, Jimmy, are well famed for the Footloose modified four-wheel drive truck for many, many years. But before we get into that, Kendra, you have something you got a Florida pool coming up.
I do. I wanted to give a quick little plug in here for the Zellwood Super Bowl down in Apoca, Florida. They are having, excuse me, some antique tractors, garden tractors, different light turbo tractors, diesel trucks, street trucks, modified two-wheel drives, four-wheel drive trucks, blown mini rods, and multi-engine modified tractors. It's going to be a Friday and a Saturday show. Friday is going to start at 6 o'clock and Saturday is going to start at 4. And I do know there are lots of vehicles leaving from Pennsylvania. Well, you know how us Pennsylvania people are. They say they're leaving Wednesday night. We'll see if they're gone by tomorrow at noon. So,
Who might that be?
yeah, it's just the way of life. Like we said tonight, you're just always late. Why not? So, don't ruin a bad tradition. So,
Right.
if you have a reputation, keep it up. So,
That's good. And that event is definitely a go.
it is definitely a go. Yes.
Nothing sold out or anything like that. So.
No.
Okay, good deal. Okay. Of course, we had the postponed Midwest Winter Nationals. You'll see the scroller down below Kendra there. You can try to put that on your bucket list to get out there here. It's only a couple of weeks away. So I guess, 3 weeks maybe. But
Yeah, 3 weeks, but who's counting?
so far, so good. I've not heard any negative feedback for the rescheduled date at this time. So hopefully
And I hear that
I'll-
Clint has updated his website. There's some new pullers coming. Some old pullers had to be taken off. I think there was another pull in Missouri or something. People are already committed to. So he did say that he updated the website. So head on over to his website. Advanced sale tickets are up again. So it's not too late.
Yeah, the boys are already rambling. Temple, get ready. It just started. It said so. I'm sure the chat may get busy if they get brave enough to come in and talk and type anyway. But,
Yeah.
Before we get in here with
all the old stories. Can't tell all of them.
yeah, right. There's a lot of stories of pulling we can't tell. But you guys that come in here already, we appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, and give us thumbs up, man. I know YouTube here I shouldn't talk about this, changed their algorithm, and boy, we took a hit. And what that does is they look for new routes and stuff to promote your stuff for you. And I took a one-way street. I guess they hopefully, I'm sure to pick up. It's happened before, but give us a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. And it gets the eyeballs looking this way. So Temple, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
I mean, what you want me to start with? I'm 52 years old. We live in Miller's Tavern, Virginia, and been around the sport of tractor pulling ever since I was probably 10 years old.
Go, huh?
Yeah. So
Well, now the Footloose truck originally, I assume your father purchased back. You want to just let us, tell us something about like when the truck was purchased, whose it was prior to, and et cetera, et cetera.
It actually, my father bought it at a sheriff's auction, believe it or not. It was actually the guy who owned it had some financial difficulties, and we knew the truck. It was the Jungle Jim truck, and he actually bought it at a sheriff's auction in 1984.
Okay.
And
That's a cool little backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually was in pieces, in boxes, and I remember my dad saying, I didn't go to the sale. I was in high school not high school. I mean, let me just see, 83. I was in high school, but my dad said actually he had Ben Ellis rode down there with him, I think, to buy the truck, and it went to a sheriff's auction, and the truck was out there in pieces in old big wooden boxes and all. And I think Dad paid $5,000 for it, which at that time was a lot of money to us. And but Ben overheard one of the sheriff's deputies say that it must have been a bunch of damn fools to pay $5,000 for that truck. They were sitting around there in boxes and everything, So that was a funny story about that,
First time it's down the track, who's the fool now?
Yeah, and I mean that truck I think you put another body on the truck here a few years back and repainted, and it's actually had, I guess, its second or third or fourth paint scheme on it now, correct?
Yes, probably about third. Yes, at least third.
Yeah, I remember the yellow lettering, then the multicolor down the center, and this one here is really sharp. That's a good looking ride. It's kind of behind us. It's hidden behind us there, but I have a two computer problems again, Kendra. I can't get my two screens here to work, so I was going to do a photo collage and everything while we were yapping and everything, but for whatever reason, I've got a screen that doesn't want to cooperate, so I got to fix all that. But we apologize for that. It's actually going to show some video too, but it's been one of them days. That's all I'm going to say. But,
I like Logger John's question there. Was there moonshine still in the truck? When I guess you bought it.
Not that I know of.
That was confiscated by the sheriff's department, I'm sure.
But how long did your father actually pull the truck himself?
He pulled it up until my father really enjoyed pulling around home and with TNT. When TNT was running a lot of indoor events, he used to enjoy that. And I would say he stopped fooling with the truck probably in about 1990.
1990.
Because he really liked going to the indoor pools this time of year with TNT and all. And when TNT stopped, I think he lost a lot of interest in the sport.
Huh. That's bizarre. Yeah, if you never met Jimmy Brizendine, he's a heck of a nice fella. And he's a pretty damn good track builder, too. I was going to say, we'll get into that here shortly, too, as Temple is the owner of Dragon Motorsports. And in my opinion, those boys know how to put a track together, that's for sure. But and you started pulling when, Temple, with that truck?
I think my first run with the truck was at Wakefield, Virginia. They had old ball. That was a big pool in Virginia back when we were younger. The Wakefield pool was probably one of the bigger state pools around. And 1986 was my first run with the truck.
Okay, wow. What about your first win?
My first win?
Yeah.
It wasn't at Wakefield. I'm trying to think. You don't throw one on me there now.
You just sit there and think about it, because I'd like to know when, because I know you've got a whole slew of them, and it'd be nice to know when you had your first win.
Right. Well, when we first started pulling, we were just like anybody else. We were on a budget, and we weren't top truck at the time by no means when we first started pulling. We had to work our way up, and maybe the first win might not have come for a couple years. I'm trying to think, but I don't know. I really can't answer that right now.
Okay.
Well, you have 40 minutes to come up with that response.
Okay. Yeah.
So back
At
then,
that time and at that age, I was like 16 or 17, I was just happy to be out there, man. Something that I grew up around and had just been a fan my whole life. Just to be out there pulling, I felt like a win to me, so but I
yeah.
was always competitive, so I wanted to make myself better.
So what did you guys do? I mean, after you obviously took the truck over, once your father was done, uh, engine wise and stuff. I know you were what I always kind of noticed about you. You were one of the only ones that run the Zoomy style headers,
Yeah.
uh, back in the day. And it's interesting. I just released that 1998 Buck pull off video, and I seen that Dan Savage was running Zoomy headers as well. And that
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there trying to remember him running them, but I don't. He was a person that did a lot of changes, and I'm sure he's watching now. But and feel free to chime in, guys. You can. It's just like you're typing a message or something like that. If you want to pick on Temple, you want to pick on me, pick on Kendra. We don't care. We'll answer your questions, whatever. But feel free to log in here and well, not log in, just start typing, and we'll get to you. But yeah, the Footloose truck. What was that? 638? Was it the Pontiac headed engine? I guess for many years.
Well, when we really stepped our program up, that was when I bought the Pontiac kids from the Saturday Night Driller truck, Tommy Holman out of Indiana, and he was the Grand National Champion that year. And he told me at the end of the season he was going to sell the top end of that motor, and I just had made my mind up. I had to have it, so I hocked up everything I had to get those set of heads and that top end of that motor. And it took me a while, maybe a year, to get my bottom end combination to work with those heads. But as a whole, that was probably one of the best investments I ever made when I bought the top end, the old Pontiac head motor from Tommy Holman out of the old Saturday Night Driller truck.
Yeah, that thing won a lot of pulls, didn't it? That engine.
Yeah, it did. That was probably one of the best engines over the years that I had.
And it didn't matter what track it was on. It was just, the truck itself, and of course the operator. You guys knew what you were doing with the truck and stuff. So, but, yeah, a lot of pulls. I know I seen it win a ton of pulls, man. A lot of pulls. Pretty cool stuff. Everybody, you know, you had your Willie Umps and of course your Dan. I'll keep calling him Phone Ball Savage, and
Yeah.
some other pullers. That have a fair amount of wins under their belt too. And then this guy's got this one won, this guy's got that one won. I said, yeah, well, you better watch that orange GMC. Sure enough, man, he put it on them. That's for sure.
Most of us that used to compete against one another back then are still real good friends right now. Talk to the umps occasionally, and Dan, I always had a lot of respect for Dan. Just all those guys, we got along good.
Yeah, that's good. It's competition out on the track, but and I know, I mean, we used to goof after pulls a lot. Back when before you got into the sled and the ownership thing and stuff. With a pulling organization, we used to have a ball. Doing whatever, but sometimes it was honorary, sometimes it was just plain fun. It was a lot of fun though, I still see it some, but it's not like it used to be. But people, I don't know, just get old, I guess. I guess we're just getting old. And we don't, the 2:00 in the morning nights, 3:00 in the morning nights are long gone. Believe me.
Yeah.
But, we used to have a lot of fun. Now, when you were a young one, if you will, helping your dad pulling stuff, like who were some of your favorite pullers? Maybe some guys that you paid attention to, influenced you with four-wheel drive trucks.
Well, around this area, when we was coming up, we had a organization down here called the Tidewater Pullers. Ben Ellis and Grayson English were probably the two in this area, right around the Tappahannock area, that really got the pulling going in this area. And then my dad and got in there with them, and we ran farm stocks just starting out. But I would say when I was real young, I always liked the Three Bears truck, Bob Smith, that was a truck. And then Thomas Carneal had the Crowd Pleaser truck. My dad actually sponsored that truck for a couple years when we were, when I was young. And I mean, I would say I don't know. I'm trying to think of probably back years ago. I have to think on that one a little bit.
There's a lot of, even as you were pulling, I'm sure there was guys like your Carl Staples or somebody like that.
Yeah.
So we're always good pullers. I remember them pretty good. I didn't get to see them a lot because I was that time frame. At that time I didn't myself. I didn't travel around to a lot of pools. That went to the Buck every Saturday night because that was 20 minutes up the street from the house. But
Yeah.
we didn't go around, like to like a Bel Air or across Pennsylvania or anything like we do today. But yes, there was 2 weight classes. Yep, and 4-wheel drive pulling back then.
There was a 5800 and a 6200.
That's correct.
Yep.
I don't see any of the boys. Maybe they'll come in here sooner or later. So, as you can see, Mike Walker's always trying to stir the pot. But well, that's cool, man. That's so we get into a lot of championships. I remember the first time you actually got your actual facility started. You
Right.
cut a track in the middle of a bean field.
Yeah.
And invited me and Scott Jones down, and you started telling me. I always, you had like how many championships in a row with ATPA did you win?
I was trying to think of that day. But see, 97 was Region 1. That was when we were still in TPA.
Yes.
And then 98, I think Gene Fanning won the championship in 98. I was thinking about that the other night when I watched that video. In 98, my truck was pretty much the truck to beat that year. But Gene Fanning was second and third you to death through the whole season. And we were somewhere at a pool, and I tried the opposite side of the track trying to be a hero. And I finished like 10th that night. And I lost the points on that pool because Gene was just so consistent that year. And but that taught me a lesson. I would have been better off just to run where everybody else ran that night and take my third or fourth and go home, and I'd have been fine. But taught me a big lesson that night, and I never did that again.
Yeah. I was thinking 99, 2000, 2001, maybe 2002. It's like 3 or 4 years in a row. I
think it was 4 out of 5 years. Anyhow, if you started in 99, it was 99, 2000, 2001, and then. I did not do it in 2002, but I did it again in 2003, I think.
Okay.
I think.
So when you started your first pull that year, I'm thinking it's like 01, 02 maybe, at your place.
Yeah, once I got started with Dragon Motorsports, that was pretty much the end of me running for the points, So.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. I missed it. I really did miss it. And every time I could get a chance to go to one, I still would. But I still miss it to this day, the competition part of it.
Yeah, well, we miss having you up here. Believe me, it's and the class is, as competitive as ever. But
yeah,
there's a lot of trucks that I would like to see back. I miss,
Yeah.
People move on, have other things to do. But I remember you telling me, well, you're going to come down. You're going to come down. I said, yeah, me and Scott's going to come down. And then you proceeded to tell me, you're going to see how many miles I had to drive to win these point championships. And man, he wasn't lying. We drove, and I figured, okay, look, that's about 3 hours, 3.5 hours now. It's longer than that. Your first time, it seemed like it was 5 hours. It wasn't, but it was a long ride. And I'm like, man,
well, see, it's not that many miles.
That day, we got out of the truck temple. The first thing I said to you I said, you weren't lying about the miles you got to drive.
Yeah. And I think the East Coast used to run us like 3 to 4 times a year at the Buck, at least 3 times a year at the Buck. And it was about a 4-hour drive for me. It wasn't that it was that many miles, but you had to get through Baltimore. And most time you were going through Baltimore in the middle of the day, and it wasn't pretty,
No.
So.
And that's just like you guys when you were doing the Harford County Farm Fair. You got to leave early in the morning to get around DC and Baltimore stuff. It's crazy, man. Well, it depends on how you come up from your way. You can avoid the DC stuff by staying on 301, but that's the way I go. Yeah, but Baltimore, you're stuck. I hate it. And if I got to go west, you got the top side of Baltimore and Frederick. It's a pain in the butt, man. But that's just the way it is. But So you also have how is the engine? I know you've built several engines for current pullers that run your series and maybe some other places.
Yeah, I was building. I say at one time, I think I had about 10 engines out there with some of the guys that run my series, but to go back again, it just got to the point where I just didn't have the time to do it. When the series kept getting bigger, and we ended up having to have 2 sleds pretty much to just cover our own events. It was just no way I could find time to do engines. I mean, I still do about 2 or 3 now for some good friends. I do John Nichols' engine for him. I think I better keep him happy. So, and anyway, but I've gotten it down where I'm not doing many at all, other than the ones that's in my trucks now. So
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you stay plenty busy. I mean, go ahead, Kendra.
There's a good question there. Logger John asked, why do they not do the 2 weight classes anymore? Because I know a lot of classes used to run 2 weight classes.
yeah, well, they just went with the 160, 200-pound class because, back in the old days, you didn't, on the real old days when they did the 58 and 62, a lot of people were looking to get 2 hooks when they went to a pull, to get at the 58 and 62. Now you just don't have the time to do it. There's no way you could run classes twice.
Yeah.
Because you just got more vehicles now. You might not have but 5 vehicles at a state pull with a 4-wheel drive trucks. And, those days you don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the quality of the engines have definitely jumped through the sky too, and not many people like to run more than once if they don't have to.
That's very true too. The cost of fixing a motor if you hurt one versus what it used to be years ago, big difference there.
I mean, there's still a few here and there that will run 2, even 3 times if they have to, but
yeah,
I tell you right now, if it was my wallet, my pocket, my vehicle, I understand, and I have that question a lot. How come there's never a pull off anymore? People get aggravated. I mean, they want a pull off, and I'm like, I tried to smartly explain to them why the floating finish is more prosperous as a whole for the sport, because I said that one pull off to please a few people, and somebody blows up, that vehicle could be out the rest of the year. Then you're down that one vehicle and that one puller for the rest of the season or a month or whatever it may be. And I said, I mean, just because people have these machines, they got the money to do it. A lot of them do their own work, but you can't break them. You know what I mean? You can't break the person. Then they're gonna stay home. They're not gonna come out and compete. And, you're gonna continue. So,
as a promoter now, the crowd loves pull-offs, and like JR saying, it's a fine line there. I still would like to get back to having a few pull-offs every now and then because I just think the crowd really eats it up. But then you got to look at for your pullers. You say you don't want to wear them out so that at the end of the season you don't have any of them because they don't blow the stuff up. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. But every now and then a pull-off is very good for the fans.
Yes, it is. And I remember a few years back, East Coast tried to get back to that 300-foot point, and it's so tough. It's tough to do it. You got some people going 330, and even if you flag them off, I guess the adrenaline, they just keep going.
Oh yeah,
bring them back.
Now, one thing I do remember that. And everybody always appreciated Gary Mills would pay you an extra $100 if you was in a pull-off up at Harford County Fair at Bel Air.
Yes.
Do you remember that, JR?
Yeah, well, Mike Hoff, I think, will also.
Mike Hoff would too. Yes, he would. I think. Yep, I think that video you sent me last week. I think if I remember right, I think Mike threw another $100 in that night at pull-off that you sent that video out. So
I mean, it's $100, but
it's better than nothing.
That's correct.
It's a little extra fuel money or nicer steakhouse or
yeah.
And even today, Mike Hoff will pay everybody that shows up and hooks.
Mhm.
He pays everybody. I mean, it may not. Yeah, obviously your top 1 through 5, 1 through 10 get the regular purse, but you can finish 15th or 16th, and you're still going to get something.
At least get your entry money back.
Cool. That's pretty cool. He does that. So, but, yeah, the pull off thing will long be why and why not.
And a great debate.
I used to be the same way. I want to see a pull off, but now I get just as much, knowing both sides of the fence. I feel that the floating finish can be just as exciting as long as we're not running 370 feet or 360 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's not so bad when you're the first or second puller out of 15 vehicles, but if you're puller number 14 and there's only 2 people in the pull off, your engine's still as hot when it pulled off the track, and the other guys had plenty of time to cool down.
Yes.
And that brings us right back to that 1998 Buck pull off when you and Mike Umps went out. That was towards the end of the class.
Yep. We didn't have much cooling time, but I think both of us were running water in the blocks at that time, so it wasn't really a big issue. So
yeah, I think Gene, you were right in front of Gene Fanny was last hook. And
yes.
And Mike wasn't. I think it was Mike, then you, then Gene, and then you and Mike had to come back for a pull off. So
that's correct. Yep.
So that's pretty cool stuff. I love that old stuff. I've noticed, and I have a bunch. And a lot of it's early 2000s that I have, but it's still neat stuff. And some people like it, and some people are like, I don't want to watch that old stuff. Put some new stuff on there. And I'm like, I got people that like the old stuff too. So you're going to get both, So
can't please everybody.
Nah, no. It's all fun. But, so Dragon Motorsports come along for Temple Brizendine. This was, I'm thinking, was it 2001, maybe 2000? Had to be 01, I think.
2001, 2002, pretty much. Yep.
Because I remember 2000 being over at the motorsports park up the street from your place.
Yes, they had a pool there in 99 and 2000 or 2000, 2001, I think.
01, I think. Yeah, you're right. 01, they had a pool there. Because I think Landis won the 2-wheel drive points that year.
And that was really the first time any pulling had been in this 100-mile radius around here in probably 25, 30 years.
Yeah. I got to have to dig that out and get it downloaded and get it on the YouTube channel. There's some pretty neat stuff there.
Yeah. And I guess we kind of helped him put that pull on there, and that kind of gave us an idea, maybe gave me the idea, of trying to do something on my own. And so I don't know, we built this little sled around with some junk metal we had around the shop here, and pretty much what it was. And it put a track out here where it is right now in the middle of a bean field, and would go out there some of the evenings and play around. And that's where it all got started at.
That place has really changed a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking there was no bleachers, and used to be brush and stuff down along the road between like where you park and the actual road itself. And then you cleared all of that out and logged a bunch of stuff up behind the shop. And my goodness, then we got bleachers, and it's amazing how much has changed there.
Yep, I was actually young when I started fooling with it, so got to kick myself in the butt to get out there and go work on it now. So
yeah, kind of it brings me to Earth Dog.
Yeah,
I hate to bring up, we all miss him. I used to get the biggest kick out of that boy.
Yep.
He had a lot of fun with him. I know he kept the grass mowed there, man. And there's times I'd show up there, Friday or Thursday evening, I guess, because you used to run 2-day events.
Right.
Man, he's out there just on a zero turn, just going to town, cutting grass and stuff, man.
Yeah, he took a lot of pride in having that track area and all look good, the day of the event, and I really miss him since he's gone on that part for sure, because he kind of took pride in having that track and all the grass cut good back there then.
Yeah. And I'm just going to take a second here. Chris Smith and we're talking about a pull-off deal here at the West End Fair in Laurelton, Pennsylvania. And I'll tell you, Chris, that facility has a woods at the end of the track, and
Yeah.
they do have a dirt pile there. And it seems that they get the sled set and just let them run to that dirt pile, and it's exciting. Um, I don't really think it's more exciting if for a simple terminology, it's more exciting to see them try to get to that dirt pile than it would be to burn them down and bring them back for a second run, in my opinion. So,
Well, and a perfect example is, I guess it was 5 years ago on my birthday, we pulled there, and all four of Vern's tractors made the pull off, and only one of them went down the track the second time. Like all of them, all the engines were hot. There was only like 9 or 10 vehicles there, and he actually threw a rod. He threw number 6 rod that night, and on Z unit, I still have the chunk of the rod sitting on my desk at work. And it's just an example of how hard it is on stuff. And there we were, 1st of August, right in the middle of the busy part of pulling season, and he had 3 tractors go down. So pull offs are hard.
yes, it is. Yeah, that's why I say you can get just as much excitement out of a first run, full bore 320, 330. 330 is enough. 335. I mean, I understand you got to hold the track, and you can just go. I mean, I understand there's going to be times you're at 340, 350 or whatever, but for the most part, I notice we're usually pretty good between 300 and 325. It's usually pretty good, but it's nice to, you don't want to burn anybody down.
Yeah.
It's expensive, and you don't want to lose that vehicle next week. Is one way to look at it. So, and sleds by far, you've had a couple Temple. You built the very first one I know you built, and then along came the Bushwhacker.
Yep. Actually, me and my wife had gone away for that weekend, and I saw the phone number come up, and I said, "This is somebody from Pennsylvania," and it was Mark Brandhoover, and he said, "Temple, want to run something by you, see if you might be interested. I know you starting your own pulling down there. You interested in a sled?" And it kind of hit me real hard, like, where am I going to get the money to buy a sled from, I mean, we, at that time, and anyway, we talked, and he gave me a price, and I made it work some kind of way. And the one thing that helped me a lot with buying Mark's sled is he let all the contracts go with it. So when I bought his sled, I had worked for it right from day one. I didn't have to go looking for work. And when I bought the sled, that was a lot of the reason I bought it, because I knew I wouldn't be going around looking for work.
Right.
That's a huge help.
Yeah.
And Dragon Motorsports explodes, and that's where the concentration is from there. So.
Yeah. So we don't.
You had some events you used to run to New York and do, correct?
Yeah. Yep. See, Mark had those events. It was three contracts in New York that I took care of, and we kind of dwindled them on out with time. And we don't rent the sled out much anymore, other than it's pretty much we got just about enough to do with the 2 sleds for our events. We'll throw in a rental every now and then, but most of it's the 2 sleds are designated to Dragon Motorsports events. So,
yeah, Hot Rod still run one, I guess.
Yes.
Hot Rod. What would pulling be without Hot Rod? Just don't get him fired up.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to get him fired up. We had a story, John and I, a guy we met at Bowling Green, and he came up to us and he said, "That guy that runs that Hammer sled for you, he's got a short fuse on him, don't he?" And me and John just bust out laughing. And John said, "Yeah, when you light it, you better be running, because he says no fuse at all." He said, "You light it, you better be running."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was funny, just because me and John bust right out laughing when that guy said that he got a short fuse done.
Knew who it was, right? Well, of course you would know who it is. And Logger John says, "Temple, do you have a favorite sled to pull?"
Is he talking now or later, or I mean, is he talking back when I was pulling?
Before and now. Give us a before and now. That's
Well,
easy.
I'd have to say that back when I was running my truck a lot, I always liked the bushwhacker. My truck always pulled the bushwhacker well, and it also, actually, it's funny that you asked the green sled of Richard Love's, which ended up being the sled I bought. I always liked to pull that sled. That's what ended up being my first hammer sled.
Yeah,
they were probably.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yep, they both of those sleds. I really like pulling those.
Yeah, that
I can't really answer
green sled.
Huh?
A lot of people like pulling that old green sled.
Yep. But it's hard for me to answer what I like pulling today because I don't pull much anymore.
yeah, we're getting to that part of the story. But
I ask Mason sometimes. I've got the two sleds; they're pretty much identical. Ask him which one he likes. He said, "Dad, I don't see much difference in them." But you talk to 10 pullers, and 5 of them are like one sled, and 5 of them like the other sled. But they're very, very similar. So
yeah, that's good. So, what about these youngins? Are they keeping Daddy pretty busy in the shop? And
yeah. Well, Mason, they both out of school. Rebecca, she's finished college. She's a nurse now, and Mason, he's just finished high school now. He's actually been helping me some in the shop now since the glory days of high school are over with.
Man, I remember when he was just a little thing, hardly just a little thing running around the shop every once in a while.
Yeah.
Wow. Even Rebecca, I remember her being a youngin'. But she's a nurse now. She's making good money. She can start helping Daddy pay some bills on them pulling trucks. Right?
I try to tell her that, but it doesn't get very far.
Imagine that. So she primarily drives Footloose then?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is it a Hemi engine, or did it go back to a wedge? Or
both trucks have wedges in them right now.
Oh, okay.
We've got a Hemi in there. It's just, I don't know, with me trying to run the business during the summer, and it's just hard to send them out. They really, neither one of them are capable of going out on their own right now. If I can't just say, hey, y'all going up to the Buck this weekend, I think Mason would try it, but I think we're a year or two away from that.
I was going to say, give him a couple more years.
Yeah. But he started driving the truck when he was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, late 14, I think. It might have been 15, but he was definitely no more than 15 when he started pulling.
Wow. He grew up fast, man.
Yep.
Very fast. And that truck is the old Stitches truck that you have that Mason drives.
Yes.
It's got the body or something for sale.
Yeah. You remember down at the last pull this fall, it actually, the power steering went out on him, and he threw the bed off of it, and it dent the bed up a little bit, and we came across a good fiberglass body at a good price, so we figured it was the time to go on and do it now, and put a lift body on it. That truck never had a lift on it, so to make it a little easier to work on.
Well, there's a little piece of history if somebody wants it. The old Stitches sheet metal is for sale.
Yeah. I probably should keep it myself just for hang it up with something, but I don't know.
Money talks, man.
I know.
Well, here's your opportunity to sell it. You want to tell them what you're asking for? You want to tell them to call you and give them your phone number, and they'll call you.
Yeah, well, I actually put it on Facebook the other day on one of those sites for $1,000. Just it needs a little TLC where that back bed got dent up a little bit when he threw it off, but it's really not that bad.
I have a feeling that Savage is going to be calling you. He was after my 01 Silverado if I ever decided to get rid of it. It's still sitting in my driveway. It's rusted out pretty bad, but
right.
I'm driving a GMC now, by the way, Temple, just so you know that. I have a GMC truck now. So.
Well, it was funny you asked about Earth Dog a little while ago. I don't know if you know it or not. I'm pretty sure you know it. He's buried at the end of the track down here.
No, I did not know that.
You
Really?
didn't.
I did not know that.
Well, his ashes are.
Oh, okay. That's perfect
His
place.
saying was, when he died, he wanted to be buried face down at the end of my track, so anybody didn't like him could kiss his butt.
That's
So,
what
I mean, I know JR could hear Earth Dog saying that right now.
oh man, loud and clear. You bet.
We've got a headstone right down at the end of the track, and we had a little ceremony for him here when he died, and we put his ashes in there, and I mean that's where he's at, is right there at the end of the track.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta get down there. I gotta come back down. I was coming this year, but just didn't work out. Dang it. I got a question from Chris Smith for you. Can you see that question, Temple? Or I guess so.
It says, "High Temple, how big can you go in cubic inches and big horsepower?" I guess is that what it looks like to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big a cubic inches can you go, and how much horsepower? I guess pretty much.
Well, most of four-wheel drive trucks in this area of 650 cubic inch, and the best running like wedge motors that we run in the sportsman class are probably in the 1350 range to 1400, and you go to Hemis, you need to be in the 1600 range with the Hemis. So, yep, that's about where you need to be.
That's something else. Yeah, I know a lot of people have gone that route. What do you prefer?
I myself like the wedge motors because they're more reliable and you don't have to work on them as much,
That's important.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why we started this class, and it's really growing. We've got probably 4 or 5 more trucks coming in it this year. And I mean, you can take a wedge motor, a good fresh wedge motor. In my opinion, if everything is right, you can run it for 2 years. You shouldn't have to do anything to it.
Wow.
Yep. Where those Hemi engines, I think a lot of them are putting valve springs on them every 10 passes. They're just very, very, they're not maintenance free engines. You got to stay on top of them.
Right. Well, I mean, good maintenance on anything goes a long way.
Yes, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure. And the kids that got some wins, I guess. How many wins do you think each one of them have?
What, Mason and Rebecca?
Rebecca,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mason's got right many. Rebecca, I don't know. She's had her share too, and she's done very well with the truck. But she likes just driving the truck, but she's not ate up with it as bad as Mason. Mason's kind of like I was when I was his age. That's all he wants to do, and he'll sit there and look at videos all night long. Just seeing how he could drive or how he could do it better and all. It's just.
That's awesome to see.
Yeah,
That's
I think he's got more love. He got more love for the sport than Rebecca does. But she does well from when she does. She actually got her first win down here at her home track at the Southern Showdown last year, and she was real happy about that. So
Good.
Yeah, I remember that happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was by video anyway. Actually had Mike Walker down there this year. But, that's awesome. Yeah, I expected. I kind of figured Mason was going to walk right into your shoes and take off with it. So
I try to talk him into he needs to be learning how to run the sled. So I'm getting old. I like to go ahead and run the circuit, maybe run the Grand National circuit one year or something.
that'd be nice. Yeah.
I try to tell him that I'd like to do that one time before I die. So he needs to learn how to run the business for me versus building the truck.
I think I know another puller with a tractor trailer that would gladly haul you around. Maybe. I mean, you live a little far apart from one another, but
Who's that?
Oh, I'm sure Big Jimmy would love to have you along every weekend.
He would. I didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, that's where he likes to run. He likes to run the Grand National. He's probably trucking tonight. That's why he's not on here. But,
yeah, Jimmy's always been a good friend to me. He pulled my truck a couple times for me to keep it in the points one year when I couldn't be there. I can't remember where he did, but I know he did it a couple times.
Yeah, I remember him driving Kevin Sousa's truck a few times too.
Yeah,
Port Recovery, Ohio was one of them. I was there, but I had to leave early that night to go back to the motel. But and I did miss him. I think he got in a pull off that night. He's top 3. I think he finished 3rd or 4th, something like that. But and Galax, Virginia, I remember running into him and Kevin there. Kevin's another one. I sure miss him. He was a fierce competitor and a lot of fun to pick fun at and back and forth, back and forth. And I know you and Kevin used to have a little joking story about getting a trophy at the Buck and one not getting a trophy at the Buck. What was that? I forget what that was about.
Well, anyway, it was kind of fun. He laughed about it, but anyway, he had finished second to me up the Buck a couple times one year, and he was always, he kept he had. I don't think he would live right up in that area, and he'd never want to pull at the Buck. And I know he wanted one real bad. So at Christmas time one year, I took one of my trophies and mailed it to him for, for a Christmas present.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sent him a trophy because he never. But he did. He got a Grand National win at the Buck.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. This was after the fact, after I had done that. But I don't think I ever got that trophy back either. That I sent him.
he probably said that common. You know what he said?
I'm sure he did. But anyway,
man, I miss him. I had a lot of fun with him.
He was always, when my truck I thought was running good, he was always one that I knew I had to beat. He was always right there. Yep.
You bet. Yeah, it was a good truck, man.
Yep.
And, Joe Flannery.
And I talk to Joe occasionally now on Facebook. Joe, Joe, he bought that truck from Joe. It was a top notch truck when he bought it.
You bet. Yes, it was. But yeah, there's a lot of names from back in the day that still run, today, like yourself and the Zieglers, Mike and Linda Ziegler, Dan Savage. Who else? Joe Kramer. Joe Kramer pulled a while, quit, and then started pulling again. And the one name that I don't see anymore is Tommy Moat.
Yeah,
he had two very competitive trucks,
and he was a fierce competitor too.
He was. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But we miss him. I guess he's still alive. I haven't heard anything from the family about the family. But two terrific running trucks. And that's the Country Bunkin' 2 and Country Bunkin' 3 trucks.
Yeah. And Mike and Linda, they've always were good friends to me. Mike and Linda Ziegler. I'll never forget. I'll tell you a little story. Mm-hmm. I used to cut tires for a lot of the pullers back. That was a way for me to help ends meet back at the time. I was cutting tires for some of the pullers, just to generate some extra money. And we were at the Buck or somewhere, and we were laying over a day or something. And Mike asked me if I'd come up his house and cut his tires for me on the day off. I said, yeah, I'll be glad to do it for you. So Mike sets me up, shows me where to go. And he comes up there, and I've never seen anybody do this before. He said he had a keg of beer in the refrigerator with spigot on the outside the refrigerator. And he said, Temple, you need a beer? There it is. And I'm like, do you know who you talking to? You go set me in here cutting your tires with a keg of beer in here. But I'll never forget that. He had the spigot of the keg on the outside the refrigerator where you could just go up there and pour you a cup of beer right there.
He's probably still got it unless the fridge quit working.
But I had the best of both worlds there. I get hot and sweaty cutting tire and had a beer keg right there beside me.
Yeah, they're good people. Every now and then. Well, before the COVID situation, set in, and he's another one that actually went through that COVID mess.
Mike did?
Yes, he did. He was pretty sick for a while, but he kicked its butt and he's back up and running again here. But
good. I hadn't heard that.
Occasionally, there's a restaurant up their way called Yoder's. They have all-you-can-eat seafood on Friday nights before the COVID deal set in, and the four of us we would always meet at his house, and we ride over there and eat crab, or as he would put it, it was a crab massacre for JR. So I love snow crab legs. I could tear them things up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So what do you think the future of Dragon Motorsports? I guess John Nickel, is he still pretty involved with you in that, or?
Yes, he's got his own pulling track in there. He's not quite involved in it as he was before, and we're getting all getting a little older too. We looking for some new blood to come help us take over. Not that we go get out of it or anything, but it's very demanding. It's very demanding business, trying to keep two sleds going and promote these pools. It's very demanding.
Yeah, I'm thinking 3 or 4 people would definitely be a big help. You know,
Yeah.
you need somebody dedicated to the sled part of it, and you need somebody to man the phones and talk to the promoters, and you know, like
Yeah.
some kind of a director. You know what I mean? To actually take care of all the pulling events and stuff.
Yep. Yep.
A lot of work.
How is 2021 schedule looking? Like, do you have a lot of promoters that are gung ho, or?
We're pretty much scheduling all events we have before. All we can do is schedule them and just see what happens. I mean, what else can you do? You gotta have some type of schedule out there.
Yeah.
Just schedule them, and if they keep us, just the people that put up a deposit, we just have to refund the money. If it can't happen. So
Any new events or?
I got a couple new promoters. A lot of people are still a little skeptical
Yeah.
about starting out new, and they don't even know what's going to go on. I mean, it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, and it's a big financial investment too. If you want to have any kind of show,
Yep.
it's not cheap.
Yep. And you can't blame the people for being a little bit, scared right now. And I mean, it's just a rough situation right now.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, that's. I mean, look, right away, the Grand National schedule come out, and there's already one canceled event. So in Minnesota, I believe it is.
The man said he wouldn't want me to be cutting his tires with a keg of beer. Said, no, that's kind of funny.
I've seen his work; it's pretty good. So, you ran triple cut tires.
Yes, I was actually the one that kind of came out with that, and I guess that I was running them on my truck back at that time when my truck was doing real well, and you would not believe how many set of those tires I actually cut for other people. Most of them ones you see, I don't know if they were that much of an advantage or not, but it got me a lot of tire cutting business at the time. I cut a lot of tires for people putting that extra groove in them.
That's something else, and it worked. It worked for you anyway.
Yeah.
Your truck definitely loved it. Like I said, I've seen all 3 paint schemes, and that not that paint makes anything win, but it didn't matter what track you were at. If that orange GMC was coming to the sled, you better watch him. Because especially there was an old saying, I believe, tell stories about you, that if Temple showed up to the pool just in time to get teched and whatnot, and he was greasy and dirty, he was going to win that pool that night. You ever heard that story, Temple?
Tommy Moat was the one who made that quote. He said if Temple came to the pool and he was clean and all, he didn't worry about me that much. But if I came in, I was greasy and nasty looking, he said he'd been working on that damn truck. He was going to be tough.
That's the story you love to hear. Yeah,
that was Tommy Moat's quote right there.
Yeah, I miss a lot of those guys. I wish they could get back out. I know Tommy was having some back troubles, I guess. And
yeah,
basically he couldn't really, I guess, climb in a truck and get beat up anymore. So that's a shame. But yeah, that's great, man. You've come a long way from just being a puller. I watched some old videos of you back in the day. You look like you was just fresh off the school bus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had hair back then, and I had hair, and it wasn't gray either. So
I'm just happy I still got hair.
Yeah, you still got plenty of hair.
Yeah, that runs in my dad's family, thankfully. So, but yeah, I mean, coming from we'll just say a little straggler fella to owning a pretty popular pulling series in Dragon Motorsports. So, own your own Dragon Motorsports park, 2 pulling trucks, 2 kids out there getting it done, carrying on a family tradition. That's pretty good. And I'm sure, does Pop come around much anymore to help or watch? Or
he comes to the pools here at my track, and that's pretty much it. I think a couple times he's hauled Rebecca and Mason somewhere when they couldn't find somebody to drive them, but he doesn't get too many anymore.
I bet he enjoys watching them grandkids go down the track.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. He's no spring chicken anymore. I think his birthday, he's 74 now.
Okay.
Mm.
So,
He's
yeah.
that'll be 78 this year in November. He's 77, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Catching up to him. But that's good, yeah. Yeah, he's always fun to talk to. I don't last few times I was down there I didn't really get to see him much around, so that's
Yep.
been a few years back. But definitely I'm coming down there, and I don't know what your video guy's going to be doing, but he's going to have to look at my smiling face across the track. But we get along. It's all good. We get along. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before you go, I was going to say that probably I would have say of all my tracks that I used to pull at years ago, that I still think the Buck was one of my favorite ones. And
Mhm.
Mike Huff running that and being a puller himself, I tried to use some of what Mike did up there when I started making my facility here, because, I always just, it was a pain in the butt to get to the Buck for me, but I always enjoyed the pool after I got there. I always thought it was very professionally run pool, and and
Yeah, everybody had a job there to do. They did their job good, and you knew
yeah,
you were going to pull in front of a big crowd.
Yep.
yeah,
Pullers
yeah,
love a big crowd. So,
yeah,
and like I say, he still knocks it out of the park as far as getting the people in the stands. As long as there's not pending rain around the area. But I still seen him, half capacity, if that sometimes. But the show is on. If he can get that show on, he's going to make her happen. So
yeah.
he definitely, I've said it thousands of times to Mike. Buck's the place. It's just everybody wants to pull and win at the Buck.
Hmm.
So
No, I agree with that. And
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun there at the Buck, and I've had fun at your place, and I got to get my cam back down there. I know I keep saying it, but I'm coming, man. I'm gonna be down there.
yeah, you need to come on back. At least try to make a plan for the Southern Showdown this year. That's usually a
Yeah,
very good event down here. Then,
had a plan, but the weather played games, and
yeah, it
everything up,
had been on all of us this past year. So,
Yeah, we just had to take every pool we could get wherever it was, and I had thank Tanner and Mike and a couple others to help film, to keep things going for us. So, but man, I hope 2021 so much better. I know it's probably going to be a little tough throughout the first part of summer, up to the first part of summer. Then maybe by then things will open up a little better for everybody, and we can get a lot of pulling in. So, I'm
yeah,
hoping we can't afford another year like this year.
no,
This
it put
past year was horrible.
hard on everybody.
Yep.
When we can't go out and do anything,
And I'm telling you, I know the average family is ready to get out and do something. It's just, it's, I mean, Keystone's already been canceled. Everything's been canceled at that building, obviously, being in Pennsylvania.
yeah.
Everything's canceled in Pennsylvania. It seems like I'll be in a state owned building.
Well, it's pretty rough here in Virginia too. They don't let us
Everybody,
do no whole lot down here either. So,
yeah, I have a whole new view of the state of Maryland and its leadership. So, but we'll leave it at that. Okay. Well, I tell you, we're almost at an hour. I mean, I knocked a lot of questions out of here. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about. Some of it, like you said earlier, we can't talk about.
yeah,
But all in all, Footloose is still Footloose, or Fruit Loops, as I think you've referred to the truck as before. But
yeah.
we appreciate you coming on. And I was really hoping some of them boys would come on here and raise a little cane with us, but I guess they chickened out, so now we can pick on them for being chickens.
Well, they probably old like me and probably forgot all about it was coming on there tonight. Maybe.
Oh no! Dan Savage sent the text. He put a text out to them. They knew you were coming on right now. Jim Weicker in the crew. So
Okay.
yeah, we appreciate you too, Logger John. You're one of them that comes in here just about every week, and we appreciate it. And,
Yep.
we're not sure who will. It's always I can't never tell you who's going to be on next week, but I'm going to hit Irv Clark up, and I know Kevin Landis is ready to come on, and a few others. So, but we appreciate you coming on, Temples. Anything else you'd like to say, or?
No, just that I appreciate the opportunity to be on here, and like for both of y'all to get down here sometime this year, if things permit, and let's all hope for a good 2021. Hopefully it'll be better than 2020 for sure.
We
Yeah.
sure hope so. There is one question I have though, and this is
Okay.
very, very important. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I want to know who the real boss of the pulling team is.
Of what?
I want to know who the real boss of the pulling team is.
Which pulling team now?
Your pulling team.
Who's the boss?
There,
Mine.
yeah. Oh, you are okay. Somehow I can envision a cast iron frying pan flying towards that door as soon as that camera turned on.
She doesn't get too many pulls, but she puts up with it. So I guess that's a
That's a
big,
win. Yeah.
that's a
Well,
big plus there, 'cause as you can imagine, I don't have much time at home on the weekends in the summertime. So
I was going to say, if it's getting you out of her hair, that's fine.
it might be a plus for her.
There you go. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Temple, and we'll probably have you on again sometime here. Maybe we'll see how this COVID thing starts doing, and maybe as the season maybe starts to kick off, maybe we can get you on here and you can update us a little more about some Dragon Motorsports events coming up and stuff like that. So
That'd be fine. Be glad to.
absolutely, and we'll definitely put Kendra to work and get some of your pool schedule together, and we'll start. Well, we were doing it last night too.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get through a night without Adam Jock coming on here and telling me about the Bills. Thanks, buddy. Yes, you won. You beat us. That's okay. You knock our quarterback out of the game. That was the end of that. But you guys played a good game, and I look for the Bills to go all the way. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, Temple, and we'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you. We'll see y'all later.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks,
take care.
Temple. Bye.
See you, buddy.
All right. How do we turn this off, man?
Always a treat. Always a treat.
Yep.
I got 1,000,001 stories about him, but I'll just let it go. We used to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And, still do, still will. I just got to get my can down the road, and hopefully pulling and Mother Nature and diseases will let us do it. So, good night, Logger John. Good night, John Boy. It's fun, John Boy. But yeah, next week, planning to be here Wednesday at 8 p.m. We'll get somebody on here. I'm kind of hoping Kendra pulls a few chains out there around the Chambersburg area.
Yeah, I got an idea.
And, maybe we can get somebody on here.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a certain diesel truck that's getting ready to go west to pull in.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
I think if I twist Norm's arm hard enough, he might come on here. We don't have to come the whole hour, just
Yeah. I don't think there's enough ice cream in the world.
I don't know. The problem with that interview would be one-word answers.
Yeah.
Okay, let me find something else to talk about. This kid.
Yeah. We'd have to get him boozed up and plenty of alcohol, and maybe.
Oh my. It's a family-friendly show.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we got to get some. We'll get some people in here. I got some people that have said, "Yeah, I just gotta." It's actually just been kind of busy taking care of stuff around here, and when it comes time, oh my gosh, I gotta hurry up and get somebody lined up, So, but Temple was kind of one of them off the walls. I posted that 1998 video, and we got just back and forth texting. We got to talking about old 4-wheel drive truck pulling and stuff. And I was like, you know what? It'd be an interesting interview. So we didn't really dwell too much into the old days. He'd act like he seemed like he didn't want to say too much about it, but I know that he's got an incredible track record with that Footloose truck, and I'm sure the kids will carry on that tradition. So,
Yeah, it sounds like Mason's really into it. Yep.
And I'm glad. That's good. And we hope here in a couple of years, Mason can get out there and come north and come pull with us and whatnot. So it'd be great. It'd be a lot of fun. But I got a lot of stories to tell you, Mason. But anyway. So, Kendra, before we get out of here, is there anything exciting going on out yonder in central PA?
Like I said, everybody's gearing up to head to Florida. I was up at the shop Saturday night. My weekend all ran together. I had a long weekend. Saturday night, and they've got some tractors on the dyno, and we're getting geared up. They just announced another pull in West Palm Beach the last weekend of February. So looks like it's going to be tractor pulling, drag racing, diesel show. Everybody head to Florida. It's going to be a great time. That's actually who I'm thinking. Hopefully we can get Jason on here and he can tell us all about that funness.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to put together a poll in 6 weeks, it'll be Jason Forrester. So, but we'll have to see. So,
okay. Well, good luck with that.
yeah, exactly. Yep. So we'll have to see if we can get him on here and we can talk a little bit about what's going on. So I know that on Saturday night there was still a lot of details in the works trying to get nailed down. So we'll give him some time to get all that settled. And
yeah, we'll wait to closer maybe to the event. And I got some pullers I'm going to get on here and get to the puller side of things so people can maybe ask them some questions and stuff.
Yep.
So, but I'm looking at. I want to yank Irv Clark's channel. I get him on here because he's a good talker, and he ran the Champions Tour circuit for a few years, and he'd be a good one to get on here and talk about pulling in the Midwest, pulling in Texas. Gosh, he's been all over the place. So
yeah,
I just got to call him. I'll call him. So we'll get somebody on 8 o'clock next Wednesday. Excuse me. Drank my coffee too fast, but appreciate everybody coming in here tonight. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Thumbs up. We appreciate it. Lynn Clark, Logger John, Cole Region Rider, Adam Drought.
We'll mention him if we have to.
I was like on Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You guys won the game, and I hope you make it the whole way. So, rest of you, next Wednesday, 8 p.m. We'll see you then. Kendra, I'll be right back.
All right. See you guys.